2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
I don't consent to the recording of this call, except by Rudy. Good morning. I hate to call on a Sunday morning. I apologize if I'm interrupting your...
No problem. No problem, Mike. It's always good. It's good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you. God bless you. I'll be real brief because I don't want to run up the money, but and I don't know if you might answer this, does Miss Davis have a direct contact with the Rutherford Institute, or is it just...
Yeah, she doesn't know Mr. Is it Whitehead? It's I think his name is Whitehead.
Yeah, Whitehead.
Yeah, she doesn't know him personally, but
I sent a message yesterday on the internet.
She did send a message over the internet to the Rutherford Institute with information about your case yesterday.
Mr. Whitehead is
okay,
the
thank
wife.
you.
Oh, it's Mrs. Whitehead. Is it Mrs.?
You remember we talked to Mike?
Oh.
You talked to her before, like 3 years ago.
I think 3 years ago we might have talked about Dr. Ken Hovind, but she did send information about your case yesterday, I think, to Mrs. Whitehead or to the Rutherford Institute. So.
Okay, so but y'all have actually talked to either Mr. or Mrs. Whitehead personally at one time?
3 years ago, I don't even know if they would remember it. I think we had a very brief discussion about Ken Hovind.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, where are the Whiteheads of the world? Those that are like him, that are, followers of Christ, that are also lawyers. The fact is, the courts are their arena, not ours. They don't let us play in that sandbox. When we walk in there and we don't have one of their brethren, they shut us down.
Yeah. Mike, you're asking the $100 million question that Aaron and I have been asking for the past few years. We've got other innocent men that have been sitting in prison for over 10 years, and where are the Whiteheads of the world? Ed and Elaine Brown are working on their 10th year, and they didn't hurt a soul. Schaefer Cox is working on his 7th year. That's a very good question, Mike. You're asking the right question, but I don't know the answer, brother.
I can't believe, with the thousands in the city of Memphis, there's over 5,000 lawyers.
Yeah.
In Memphis alone, there's 5,000 bar card attorneys. And I'm wondering, do they sell their soul when they take an oath? Do they have to take a knee and swear allegiance to the Queen and to this bar association, and then for ever be their minions? And if that means sacrificing innocent lives, then so be it. We've got?
I don't know. The Bible, there's only one profession that's called out with a woe. It doesn't say, woe to you plumbers, woe to you car mechanics, woe to you farmers.
Lawyers.
It says, woe to you lawyers, yeah. And I'm serious. It's a good question, man.
And that word woe can be interpreted either one of two ways. It's either a caution or it's a curse.
Yeah.
And it depends on how the translation is read as to, was Christ issuing a caution or was he issuing a curse upon them? And I don't know, but that's something to ponder. This unelected bar association, they control the courts. They don't let anybody in there that's not a member. And to be a member, you have to swear your loyalty to them.
Right. I know. Yeah, you're right. Hey.
What I've been...
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother, but I do have a question for you, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, from what I've been told, that this bar association is from the London Lawyers Guild, and that they are the offshoot. They have an offshoot called the American Communist Party. And if that be true, it certainly would make sense. Yeah.
There certainly seems to be something going on when somebody swears allegiance to that bar, because nobody wants to, go against, the association when they stand up for defendants. But I was talking to Will yesterday, and people are a bit confused on why you're in jail. And I think we had a discussion earlier, and I asked you why you're in jail, and you said you don't know the charges. Is it true? Is there anything? Where can we find, or do you have any knowledge at all? Like, why are you in jail, and what are the charges? Is it because you didn't show up to court, or what's?
Right. Well, all right. Two things happened. Last January the 10th, there was a court date scheduled. However, just because the court schedules a date doesn't mean that you have to appear. There is such a thing called a notice or a directive to appear.
Right.
Before you or anybody else is required to appear in court, you have to be ordered. Okay. If they say that there's a parade on Main Street at 2 o'clock today celebrating Christmas,
right?
Okay.
Yep.
And you might be a guy who's played the tuba in the band at your high school all year long, but if that band director doesn't say we're in the parade, you have to be there. Why would you even go unless you're there as a spectator?
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I've gone back and forth to court for month after month after month, and finally the charge was dismissed against me. Okay. Then they never did actually issue the charge again properly, and I was never served with any process. And then when I was released from jail after they held me, there never was on anything an order that I come to court on any other times. They never, here's the thing, when you're released from jail, they always have you sign an agreement to come back to court. I didn't have to do that.
Right.
Just let me out. And when they issued a bond, the bonds always say that you have to appear in court. This bond didn't do that. When I got the ankle monitor thing, there was nowhere did I have an agreement, and that's why they want you to sign these things where it says you agree to do this. It's a contract. Nowhere was there a contract with me agreeing to appear on any date for anything. And then the court says they sent me a notice of an order that there is a hearing. Okay. That sheet of paper that they sent says trial was set for this day, pretrial motions were set for this day, and the defendant failed to appear or did not appear or provide anything at this pretrial setting. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's a clue. If I don't go to a pretrial hearing and they don't issue a warrant for my arrest, it's because I didn't have an obligation to go. Now, I was sent a notice of a pretrial hearing where you could go argue whatever, motion, stuff like that. I didn't go because I'm not the defendant. I sent the court notice. I'm not the defendant. I'm not a party to this claim. I'm not the trustee, fiduciary, surety, so forth of that Michael Parsons Corporation that you're coming after. And I have challenged jurisdiction. The court has never responded to that, so I don't see anything further involving me. Please stop sending me mail.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's what I sent them.
Yep.
And had they not liked that, they would have issued an arrest order. But because they legally didn't have the basis for it, there was nothing. And then I sent them notice about the trial. I said, I have no obligation to be there. I'm not going to be there. I gave them advance notice that I was not going to be there because I have no obligation to be there.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
People would try to argue, well, you should have known, but you can't. You have to go by the letter, and you can't assume. And that's the whole trick. What they're doing is a magician's trick. It's illusion. It's sleight of hand. It's sorcery. It's they call it lesser magic. I don't know if you've met any people that are in masonry and Masonic order, but they utilize inference, and lesser magic is the art of inference, where you can infer something but not say something. What you're doing is you're leading people to believe something without you actually saying it. You want them to come to a conclusion that's a false conclusion.
Yeah, no, the same type of thing you're discussing, Russell Landers discusses very similar things, as well as Ed Brown, and also and Paul Hansen as well. You mind if I ask you a separate, just to get an idea of perspective from my perspective? So this Tyranny Crusher trial that we received audios on, where the guy shot at you 29 times, killed your dog Brandy, you did a citizen's arrest, you went to trial for that. That was back in 2001. Is that true?
I was arrested in 2007. That happened September 27, 2007.
Okay.
They falsely charged. They falsely charged me because I'm suing the judge who's on the ballot that I'm suing to void, and it stretched out for 2 years. And finally, on November 23rd, 2009, they took me to trial without legal counsel.
2009. Okay.
And they had the jury stacked, and they convicted me of aggravated assault for telling you got to stop shooting. And
right.
if you got the audio.
Yep.
Where I'm yelling, if you listen to the audio, you can hear me several times yelling, "Stay back, don't come any closer."
I don't know that I have the discovery. I only have the audio from the trial, but it's obvious to me that you were, making very good points in that courtroom, and the judge didn't like you, and that occurred after you won. You won an election, and they flipped the votes, and that election was for county commissioner or county executive or something like that.
County executive, the same as the county mayor. It's a top job.
Okay.
You basically run the county.
So you were exposing a rigged election. They flipped the vote total. They came after you. This guy.
Yes.
Okay, so they shot at you. That occurred in 2007. The trial extended until 2009. Did you have to go to jail once they got a false conviction on you for like a year or so? Back in 2009.
I went to prison.
Wow. Okay.
In 2009, I was sentenced to prison for 7 years. I served 2.5 years day for day before I was released on parole. I was originally granted a early parole at 10 months, and then the people at Tipton County Court, the judge got his minions in the prison to falsely accuse me of something. And if you got a parole and a CO, a lowly correctional officer making $12 an hour, can accuse you of something, and if you get a write-up it doesn't matter if it's true or not, you lose your parole.
Okay. Wow. Incredible.
So, yeah, they took away the parole, and I had to wait another year, and then they wrote me up again. I had to wait another year, so I served 2.5 years for bogus stuff that I didn't do. And then I was out 22 months, and then they came and accused me of possession of guns that I didn't have. They were my wife's guns that are locked up that I don't even have access to.
Right.
And before I was released from prison, my mom and my wife were there at a home visit with the parole officer at our home, and my mom said, got a question. We all have guns. Is there any problem with that? He said, as long as Mike doesn't own, possess, or carry, the condition for his release is that he doesn't own, possess, or carry. Has nothing to do with any of y'all, but it would be a good thing if you got guns, lock him up when he's around so nobody can accuse him of having access to guns. Well, the law doesn't say you cannot be in the vicinity of a gun.
Right. It says you can't have access, right?
Right.
Well, no, it's if somebody's got a gun sitting there in their holster on their side.
Yeah.
All right. You're not in possession.
Right.
If you go to somebody's house and they got a gun case, even though you could actually break into it likely, that's not possession.
Right.
It's not a crime.
Right.
You can walk into Walmart. You can walk down the aisle where they have all the ammunition. That's not a crime. You can walk into a gun store and walk around where they got guns everywhere. That's not a crime.
Right. And it's certainly not a crime if your wife has a gun if she has it locked up in a safe.
She's got it locked up in a safe while I'm there, a 500-pound Liberty safe, and I don't have the key or combination. And when I'm not there, she takes them out for her protection, which she has a right to do, and she locks them in the house. I don't have a key to the house.
So this whole round of you being in prison today is because you didn't show up in a court because they accused you of having access to this gun that your wife had in a safe. Is that why you're sitting there today? Because
I was tried in, get this, they've never taken me to trial on that bogus charge of unlawful possession of a weapon. That happened in 2014, 3 years ago. They've never taken me to trial because the arresting officer got fired for planting evidence, and the fact is they've already acknowledged, we know you didn't have a gun. So what they did is they tried me on this failure to appear, which used to be contempt of court. You would get 10 days in jail and a $50 fine, and they sentenced me to 3 years in prison.
Wow.
Something that's never was a felony. All of a sudden, it's a low-level Class C felony, which I sat there in this jail for 6 months, and everybody that had that same charge had like 30 days, 90 days. One guy had 4 months. Nobody got years in prison. Nobody sent to prison over failure to appear. It's
insane, Mike.
Okay?
Oh, it's insane.
I'm in a federal prison right now for the false charge. Now, let me give you this guy's name real quick, and I'll call you back and finish it up. His name is Anthony Todd Weaverick.
Okay.
Weberka. and his case is 4:17CR3039. It's in the U.S. District Court in Nebraska, and I believe the indictment against me is 3038. So mine is one number off, whatever there is. But the thing is that if you read his indictment, Pat needs to fax you or email you a copy of his indictment and her.
Okay, we lost him. We'll wait for him to call back with more information.
You have a prepaid call.
It's me for just a minute, Mom.
An inmate at Leavenworth Detention Center. Your account balance is $4.76. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
I don't consent to recording of my call except Mr. Rudy. Okay, what I've been told here by the people here is that I've been charged with unlawful possession of a weapon, which, here again, I didn't have any weapons. I'm sitting in an airport with a 12-ounce cup of McDonald's coffee, and a SWAT team comes in and arrests me, and then they come back, I guess it was in April, sometime around the middle of April, and indicted me claiming I had possession of a weapon. Anyway, this Anthony Todd Weaver, Weverka, he was the guy that managed the airport there. If you get a copy of that indictment that I sent Pat, if she can scan it and email it to you and read it, and then look at the charge against her, what you're going to find is that they're charging him with something that the most he can get is 3 years in prison. He actually gave the address of the sheriff to this fugitive recovery. They're claiming that the fugitive recovery company was a ruse by the FBI, and that they were claiming that this was an attempted kidnapping. Well, when somebody calls you and says, "Hi, we've got a court order to find somebody, we're the fugitive recovery company, we're trying to find this person to arrest them, to transport them to another place, to take them into custody." They kept using the term, "We have to take this person into custody." Okay, that's not kidnapping. That's lawful process. So he believes that he's doing the right thing by telling this representative of this company, who's representing a court order, where the sheriff lives. So he actually supposedly told the guy where the sheriff lives. All right. To the contrary, Pat never told anybody where anybody lives, and they're trying to claim that she facilitated, conspired, and she sought out somebody to kidnap a judge, a sheriff, or whatever.
Yeah, no, Mike. What's as bad as what's happened to you? What they've done to your wife and are doing to your wife is even worse. I mean, it's terrible what's going on.
Yeah, 20 years. They're trying to sentence her to 20 years in prison. In other words, they're trying to kill her by the system, and she won't last in the system. She is the kindest, most gentlest person on the face of the planet. For her to be run through this mill and extorted and being told that you either plead guilty or you're going to jail and you won't get a bond, and she knew that was a death sentence to all of our animals.
Yeah.
So she said, whatever. And then they said, you'll go home right now if you plead guilty. You won't have to come back to court until December, and then if you're sentenced, you won't have to go anywhere, until February. So you've got time to. So she sacrifices herself for our animals.
Yeah.
This is our life. This is, she is
Well, Mike, yeah, I'm totally with you on. Let me say this: you're a fighter. I can tell in my few discussions with you, you are a brave warrior who stands up for the truth, and you understand that your strength comes from God, and you're willing to put it all on line. I understand that, but your wife, in my few discussions with her, like you said, she's not really a fighter. She's not so much outspoken, and she does, and that's typical of women, right? But it breaks my heart what's happening to her, because I can tell that FBI set up her with an entrapment scheme. It's very common. People don't realize how bad our FBI is, and I'm very concerned for your wife too, because she's not the fighter type, and they're going to steamroll her, man. It looks like we're going to have to put our trust in the Lord, because it's terrible what's happening. It's absolutely terrible.
Well, if I had somebody that was a fighter, that was a true follower of Christ, and a lawyer that would help her and stand with her, and we don't know what the law is. I'm dead in the water. I'm sitting in a 7-Eleven concrete vault with no access to any legal resources, so I don't know what the statutes are pertaining to withdrawing a plea. The plea was made under threat, duress, and coercion. It was an illegal plea, and the courts are supposed to not even accept it if it's done under threat, duress, and coercion. They're supposed to refuse the plea. They're supposed to look at the underlying and here's the thing, it's not even a charge. There's no indictment. It's what's called an information. And from what I gather from talking to some of the guys here, they all say an information is something that you get dismissed because it's such a weak case, they won't even take it to a grand jury, because the grand jury would come back with a not true bill, and then they're stuck. They're hoping that they can do the okey-doke on you and make you think that it's a charge when it's not. All it is, it's a complaint from a district attorney who probably doesn't even have a sworn affidavit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand, Mike. You're looking for something I've never seen, which is a Christian lawyer. You put those two words together, we're going to try to get the news out about what's happening to you and your wife, and I pray that somebody picks this up that has a bigger microphone or some sort of ability to affect positive change in a good direction. But ultimately, our trust is going to have to go to the Lord. I've never met a Christian lawyer, Mike. I really haven't.
Well, I've listened to Whitehead for the last 15 or 20 years. With the Rutherford Institute, I've called and talked to them about other issues, about various crimes that are going on, and I hear them always on the radio talking about they're the forefront leading this and that, and I tell you, the few cases that they picked up, I don't know how they stay in business. Are they taking cases, or how do they get? Is it just a fundraising thing? I don't know what they do to earn a living, but I would think that they would have a treasure trove of lawyers out there ready to jump on a case like this because it's the right thing to do, if nothing else, to provide the perception of the people that the justice system is not totally crooked, that we can throw out bad cases and we can't hold those people that are rigging the game accountable.
What's the name?
But obviously not. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll try to get your information and these this as much as we can in front of the Whitehead and the Rutherford Institute. Whether they pick it up or not, I can't say.
What about Ken Hoven's lawyer?
Ken Hoven has a lawyer, but I don't know.
What was the name of him?
I don't remember. I would have to look it up. Ken Hoven does have a lawyer. I forget his name, but yeah.
I was listening to the radio yesterday. There was a show called Handle on the Law. This guy named Handel, he's a lawyer who does a radio talk show, and he says, I've been listening to the guy off and on for probably 10 years, now he's got a treasure trove of lawyers that he says are people that are not going to sit there and ask for a bunch of money up front and walk away. He doesn't have any of those. These are actually people that are getting in there and fight. He says he's got a database on his website of all these lawyers, and if you got a case, no matter if it's civil, criminal, whatever. And there was a guy on there the other day talking. He said, I had a case where I was being falsely charged, and I went to your website, and I got this guy, and he looked into it, and he found out, this was one of these old boy networks trying to railroad somebody because they view this as a political enemy. And he went in there because he wasn't from the local bar, and he forced them to dismiss the charges against this guy, and they didn't like him because of what he was doing. But he said it was, just the right thing to do, and you usually have to get somebody from outside the area to come in doesn't really care about that old boy network. But it's called handleonthelaw.com. I don't know if you've got time to look at it and see if they've got any lawyers in the Memphis area. But I feel that if she could get somebody to go in there and argue that the whole thing is trumped up, she needs to withdraw the plea. She needs to be able to remain free. She's responsible for a farm full of animals, and they're just going to kill our animals if they don't, let her stay free.
Yeah,
they would steal everything, and they would kill our animals, and that's what they would do.
I'll certainly, I'm going to church this morning, but when I get back this afternoon, I will check out the website, handleonthelaw.com. I've wrote it down as a note, and I'll send them all the information. If they got any sort of email address at all, I can send them, your videos and your website and say that you guys need to check into this. My only concern is we've got 2 days, right? It's the 10th. She's going to be sentenced on the 12th. I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody could they could do something as simply as notifying the court that they need an extension. There could be a request for an extension of time, and it could be filed tomorrow and or as early as Tuesday, and the judge could authorize an extension of time to allow them time, because in the interest of justice, she shouldn't be sentenced for anything. And also. If I've got some money on the calling card, if you want me to call Tuesday morning, I could possibly get the phone. The access here is a little easier than it was at the other place. And if you wanted me to call you, if you've got the ability to take my call and call into the other place, or however it needs to happen, let me know, and I'll try to facilitate that if you still are looking at doing that.
Yeah, let me check with Mrs. Manning. Do we think a three-way is not going to get you in any trouble, is it? If I do a merge? Okay.
No.
Okay. Let me text. Yep.
Is it usually to where I call you and then you call them while you got me on the phone, or do you have to call them first and then me call them while you got them on the phone?
It would be. Now say the second one again. Oh no! You would call me, and then I would do a conference call with the radio program. But I normally do Skype, but you don't have any ability to do Skype from prison, of course. I'm not sure that all this would work out for a radio show. It could be where I just go on and point people to your resources and mention you, because we've tried these three ways before, and it can get really nasty on a live radio show, right, where things aren't working out properly. And plus, I would have to, bring them up to speed on your case, and I don't think they've ever heard about you, and it's only just a 2 days. So let me text her, and I'll do my best to mention you. If I get a chance to go on the show, I definitely will try to, mention your case, and people need to check out your website. And I'll say that we've got some audios from you in prison, and it's horrific what's going on. We're just going to have to trust in the Lord, Mike. And I understand your frustration about where are all the warriors that are lawyers, and where are all the Christian followers of Christ. My wife and I have been asking ourselves that same question for the past few years, and it's a good question. I don't know the answer because we don't see any. So.
But if you've got anything on your site or on my site that references Mrs. Parsons, I don't know if that update to the Patriot letter that I wrote, or a reference about the information about Mrs. Parsons, what they did to her, but this is my focus, is getting her charges dropped, getting her to be able to remain free, and not be forced to be put into a concrete cage. It will be a death sentence for my wife. My wife is she's such a kind person. This will crush her spirit, and it will kill her.
Yeah, I understand.
She has, for the last, 5 years, all this stress has stressed her so much. She has turned, her hair is now gray when it was, pretty brown, and, it's not the workload necessarily, it's the stress.
Yeah.
And this evil. There's got to be, people need to rise up and demand that it stop, and call out their elected officials, call out, anybody and everybody. I've got a letter to Trump. Obviously, he got it. Also, Pat said that Sue Holling called her and said that she got a response from the White House, and then her phone cut off because she ran out of money. So I don't know what that means. So, there could be some positive there. She said Sue seemed upbeat about it, but I don't know. I think that Trump's got a good heart. I think that the man truly actually wants to right some wrongs and both sides of the aisle, get rid of the corruption. And you see all these people being cast out now that are known to be people that are abusing women, and they need to go after the pedophiles. Okay, there's Dick Cheney. There's a whole treasure trove of pedophiles out there that have been running this government. I don't know this.
Remaining.
I'm in agreement with you on that, Mike. I totally understand that. One of our challenges with your wife, of course, is she's about to be sentenced. She's also doesn't speak up because she's concerned it's going to go bad in her sentencing. So you speaking up for her is very good. I'll try to get some more money on the phone, and we'll try to get your story out there, brother. Let's not give up, and let's keep trusting the Lord.
If nothing else, she needs a continuance, and a motion for continuance takes just one page.
Yeah. Okay. We'll try to reach out to that website you mentioned earlier, Mike.
HandleOnTheLaw.com. God
All right.
bless.
God bless you, Mike. Hang in there, brother. Hang in there, brother. Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, so it's a little difficult for me to have these conversations with Mike because he appears that he's just now coming to the realization of how screwed up it is, right? Because Aaron and I pretty much know how screwed up it is.
I think he's known that.
I think his wife is about to go to prison, and it's really freaking him out that his wife is going to be sentenced 5 to 20 years, and he's like, where are the lawyers? How come nobody's standing up?
There's no indictment on her or anything.
Yeah, and but he's almost going through the phase of like how bad it is, but I'm not shocked anymore. It is really terrible, and I wish that there was like some lawyer on a white horse that we could call in to fix everything. But there's no lawyers on white horses to come in and fix everything. The system is so corrupt. It's just absolutely terrible. And what I wanted to say to Mike is that his wife, Mrs. Pat Parsons, she's not the outspoken type. She doesn't like her voice to be recorded. She doesn't want to go out and say all the details of her case. Not because she's guilty, but just some women are not bold like that. And, she's just going to throw herself on the mercy of the court, which is the worst thing to do. This judge, if you look up her dossier and look where she came from and who appointed her, which was Obama, and she comes from, racial equality group, and it's just a bunch of liberal crap. The judge is going to throw the book at her. I can just feel it, and we're going to have to trust in the Lord that He's going to intervene. And I pray that it goes well for Mrs. Parsons. But I'm telling you, it doesn't look good. And I don't want to say that in front of Mike. But anyway, please keep Mike and Pat in your prayers, and don't assume that somebody else is doing something. You've heard the same conversation that I did, right? The same conversation that I just heard. If you're listening to this audio, you've heard it. And so I'm going to try to do something, but that doesn't mean I'm the only one that should be doing something. If you know a lawyer, or you know Whitehead, or you know the website that he mentioned earlier, you can reach out to them too. And hopefully, you feel compelled to try to help Mike just as much as we do. But God bless you. Take care.